Let me ask you something. You're doing everything right. You went to school, or you got the job, or you're grinding a side hustle. You're doing something. You're not lazy. You're not stupid. So why does it feel like you're losing ground every single month? Rent goes up, groceries go up, your paycheck stays the same, and everyone around you is infatuated with hustle culture and passive income, saying, "Oh, just invest, bro." While you're sitting there wondering how you're supposed to invest when you only have $200 left after bills. Here's what nobody's telling you. The game changed. The rules your parents gave you were real. They just expired. And if you're still playing by them, you're going to keep falling further and further behind no matter how hard you work. This video is about what actually moves the needle. Not the recycled stuff, the real stuff. Let's get into it. The math is not mathin'. The median entry-level salary in the United States right now is somewhere around $40,000 to $45,000 a year. That sounds fine until you realize the median rent for a one-bedroom apartment in most mid-sized cities is around $1,200 to $1,800 a month. That's $14,000 to $22,000 a year, just on rent. Before food, before your car, before your phone bill, before student loans if you got them. Your parents bought a house at 25 years old. Not because they were smarter, not because they worked harder, because the math was different. A house in 1990 cost around 3 times the average annual income. Right now, we're looking at 7 times, 8 times in most markets. Some cities, it's even 12x. This isn't a motivation problem. This isn't a discipline problem. The economic foundation shifted under our feet, and nobody updated the advice. So the first thing you have to do before any tips is accept that you're not going to think your way out of this using the same playbook that created the problem. That playbook was written for a different economy in a different time. Here's the trap most people in their 20s fall into. They focus all their energy on getting a better job instead of building a better position. There's a difference. A job gives you a salary, of course. A position gives you leverage, and leverage is what actually creates options. What does that mean practically? It means your skills are worth more than your title. It means one income stream is a liability. Not because some finance YouTuber told you that, but because you've literally watched what happens when one income stream disappears. COVID showed everybody that, and I think we're about to see it again. One layoff, one recession, one company downturn, and your whole financial life is on the table. You don't need to build an empire in your 20s. You need to start building a second lane. That might look like freelancing the skill you already use at work. If you're good at design, start taking small clients. If you write, start getting paid for it outside your day job. If you're in logistics, operations, finance, those skills are valuable to smaller businesses who can't afford a full-time person but would absolutely pay someone part-time. The goal isn't to quit your job tomorrow. The goal is to not be completely dependent on that source of income. That is real financial security, not the number in your savings account. And here's the other part nobody talks about. Your 20s are when you have the highest risk tolerance you'll ever have. No mortgage, maybe no kids. The stakes of failure are low. A side project that fails at 24 costs you time. The same project at 44 might cost you a kid's college fund. The window is now. You don't have to swing big, you just have to swing. I want to say something that's going to sound obvious, but still isn't actually being acted on. You are surrounded by the most sophisticated attention-stealing technology ever built, and it is running 24 hours a day. Optimized by billion-dollar AI systems designed specifically to keep you consuming instead of building, and most of us are enslaved by it. The people who are getting ahead in their 20s share one habit more than any other. They are obsessively, almost annoyingly protective of their attention. They treat their focus like money, because it is. Every hour you spend doom scrolling is an hour you didn't spend building the thing that could change your financial situation. And I'm not saying this to be preachy, I do it too, but there's a difference between using social media and being used by it. Here's a simple test. Open your screen time right now. Look at how many hours per week you're spending on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts. That short form content right there is designed to keep you in a loop. Most people are on it 3, 4, 5 hours a day. On their phone, wasting time. If you extrapolate that data, it's 20 to 35 plus hours a week. I did this experiment with my buddy at work yesterday. He was on his phone 7+ hours a day. It is insane. That's basically a part-time job, except of paying you, it's billing you, your time, your attention, your mental energy, all getting spent on someone else's algorithm. 1 hour a day redirected toward building something compounds the same way money does. In a year, you've put 365 hours into a skill, a project, a side income. That's real. That's the actual hack nobody's selling you because there's no app for it. Disconnect from the world every day for just an hour, and I promise you, you will be leaps and bounds ahead of all the competition. Let me give you the one piece of financial advice that actually holds up no matter what economy we're in. Time in the market beats timing the market every time. Here's the math. If you're 22 right now and you put $100 a month into a basic index fund, the S&P 500, nothing fancy, and you never touch it, at a historical average return of around 10% annually, by the time you're 62, you're looking at somewhere around $530,000 from $100 a month. The only potential downside of this is waiting. Now I hear you, $100 a month feels impossible right now. I get it. Start with $25, start with 10. The amount matters less than the habit and the time horizon. The hardest part is not the money. It's believing that 40 years from now, the actions that you do today will impact your life later. And look, this isn't even about becoming obsessed with the stock market. This isn't about becoming obsessed with the stock market or watching finance content all day. You don't need to pick stocks. You don't need to understand what options are. Open a Roth IRA if you qualify, throw in a low-cost index fund, set up automatic contributions so you never see the money, and let it go. That's genuinely 90% of what personal finance experts spend thousands of words explaining. The other piece of this, your employer match. If your job offers a 401k match and you're not getting the full match, you're leaving free money on the table. That's 50% to 100% return on your contribution before the market does anything. There's no investment that beats that. Get the match first, always. I need to take a second to dismantle something that has done serious damage to Gen Z financial thinking. The personal finance industry has spent 30 years telling you that you're broke because of your spending habits. Cut the coffee, cancel Netflix, stop eating out. If you just had a little more discipline, you'd be fine. But that's not the truth. That advice was written for people making $80,000 a year who were genuinely overspending. It does not apply to someone who's making $38,000 trying to survive in a city where rent alone is half their take home. You cannot cut your way to wealth on a low income. You can only earn your way there. That means the most important financial decision you make in your 20s isn't which index fund to pick or how to budget. It's what you do with your earning potential. And here's where people get stuck. They think increasing income means getting a better job, and getting a better job means going back to school, and going back to school means debt. And so they do nothing. That is the trap. Your income goes up in one of three ways. You negotiate the job you have, you switch jobs for higher pay, or you build income outside of your job. Those are basically the only levers. Negotiating is the most underused one. Studies consistently show that people who negotiate their starting salary earn hundreds of thousands more over their careers than most people who just accept the first offer. Most employers expect you to negotiate. Most 22-year-olds, though, we've never been taught to negotiate. It just feels uncomfortable. Job switching is statistically the fastest way to get a significant raise. People who stay at the same company for more than 2 years on average earn significantly less over their lifetime than people who moved. It's not a small number. You make your money in your moves. And building outside income, we already talked about this, but I want to land on it again, is the only one where the ceiling is actually yours to set. The first two are capped by what an employer is willing to pay. The third one isn't capped by anything except your own execution. All right, we've talked money. Let's talk about what the daily life of someone actually getting ahead looks like, because it's not what gets posted on social media. It's not waking up at 4 a.m. It's not a perfect morning routine. It's not wearing the same outfit every day like you're Steve Jobs. Here's what it actually is. They read things that make them more capable, industry knowledge, history, biographies of people who built things, books about money and psychology and how the system actually works. 20 pages a day is a book a month. 12 books a year, 120 books by the time you're 32. The compounding of knowledge works the same way as money. It's slow and then it's sudden. They build in public. The people who are getting noticed, getting opportunities, getting clients, they're creating proof of their skills, not waiting until they're good enough. Sharing their work now, learning in public, building a reputation before they feel ready. A LinkedIn post, a YouTube channel, a portfolio, even a newsletter. Whatever your medium is, visibility creates luck. They protect their environment. You cannot consistently perform at a high level while being surrounded by people who are comfortable with being average. It's not me being cold, that's the physics of it. The people closest to you set the ceiling on what feels normal. If everyone around you is okay with settling starts to feel fine. Seek out people who are building. You don't have to leave your friends. Just add people to your circle who aspire to do great things. They say no to comfort. This is the hardest one. Comfort is the enemy of growth in your 20s. The safe choice, the comfortable choice, the choice that doesn't require you to fail in front of people. Those choices feel good in the short term and cost you massively in the long term. The people who get ahead take risks when the stakes are low and they have energy and time to recover. That window is your 20s. They track their money, not obsessively, just enough to know what's actually coming in, what's going out, and what that gap is. Most people have no idea. They have a vague sense of their salary and a monthly sense of anxiety. Know your numbers. A simple spreadsheet is enough. You can't improve what you can't see. Look, I'm not going to tell you that if you just follow these things, your life will be perfect. It's not how this works. Getting ahead in your 20s isn't about a perfect strategy. It's about not sleepwalking through the decade where you have the most energy, the most time, and the lowest downside of risk of your entire life. Most people don't look back at their 20s and say, I took too many risks. They look back and say, I wish I had started earlier. I wish I had taken that shot. I wish I hadn't have been too scared. The economy is genuinely harder. The system is genuinely stacked against you in ways it wasn't stacked against your parents. That's real, and I'm not dismissing it. But inside of that reality, there are still decisions you can make. There are still levers you have, and the difference between people who build something real in this economy and people who just survive it usually isn't talent. It isn't luck. It's whether they understood the game they were actually playing and played it accordingly. You understand the game now. That's the first step. Go do something with it.